entrepreneurial clinicians. Welcome to Friday. It's about 1:15 p.m. Friday, the 19th of June here in wintry Australia. And it's my pleasure to be back with you today. I didn't quite know how I was going to be after the last couple of days, but I am tired. You'll hear it in my voice. But it's been an interesting week, and I had some really great successes, personal successes for myself this week that I'll share with you. I'm not sure if you kept up with the other This is Private Practice episodes this week. We had the privilege of hearing from another 3 guests. What a great wealth of information and perspective that we all bring to this discussion about the good, the bad, the ugly on private practice. I loved Montoya's discussion about niching and how she actually addressed that for herself, because I see a lot of people getting so worked up and confused about it, and sometimes I feel a bit removed from that because I did a lot of that work like 10 plus years ago. Hello, lovely Kelsey. For me, it's like second nature. It's so easy. But then having other people who aren't as far ahead in the journey as I am, or as along in the journey as I am, and hearing how they've solved that problem for themselves is just delicious. And I think she did an incredible job explaining how she worked out a niche to start. And then we had the most Natalie Green. I'm so proud of her, because that would have been a tough episode to record. But I've had the pleasure of walking with Natalie through some of the changes that she has made, and she is a perfect example of how we need to consistently ask, what do I need my business to do for me? And she has changed, and at times made quite dramatic changes on how she needs to be, what energy she needs to put into her business, and how she wants to leverage herself. She is a very smart lady, and I am grateful that she is in my world. And then yesterday we had the fantastic Paul Inglesian, and I have a lot of time and a lot of respect for Paul. When Paul opens his mouth, I want to hear what he has to say. And I always enjoy the wisdom that comes with Paul. He thinks about things, he cares about people, and he's been in private practice and he's still attached to agency, and he genuinely loves new people and new people entering the profession, in his case in social work. So I was so proud to have created this platform where we can actually have these conversations. Look at what happens with social media over time. Like, 390 odd episodes, I was just ranting about how awful working with telecommunication services were in Australia, and now we've got something that's powerful, and people love these episodes, and they find the bite-sized pieces of information really informative, useful, and being able to take it away. And we talk about subject matter that is real. It's not in every book, it's not always pleasant, but it's the reality. And now this year we've been able to morph into having a conversation with more people, and actually adding some voices, and making sure that we're not just learning from one person, but learning from lots of people. So I'm really proud of the way that we've been able to evolve and morph this thing. And one day I will get it all on audio, so it's a podcast, and then people will be like, yay, that's really cool. And I see the gorgeous Nicola is here, and she's giving me lots of hugs, which is wonderful, because we still are like, can't get to each other. And that I am finding difficult right now. People, if you really want to be honest, I would like to be able to spend some time with my friend, some actual physical time, because Zoom's great and FaceTime's great, but it's just not the same. Anywho, something that I got to do this week with my inner circle is I made us all turn up with our book of evidence. Now, some people broke the rules and they didn't bring their book with them. However, we did the activity, and I really want to share it with you today. I want you to think about something that you have done or that you are proud of during this whole COVID and civil disruption period of time that we have had. Because we need to understand that one day what we have experienced will be history. We need to understand that we will be telling our grandchildren or other people in our world, or new clinicians, that, hey, I remember when COVID was around, or I remember when all that civil unrest was around, racism was around. And one of the things that got me through, or one of the things that I was able to do, or one of the things that I became, was this. And if you don't write it down and if you don't have a way of reflecting on it, it's just going to get lost. And you're just going to move on to the next thing and on to the next thing. So some of the wonderful things that people were describing were how they turned up for their clients, that they just turned up for their client and they were able to hear the distress of their client, and they did that day in and day out, and they're continuing to do it. Others were, they didn't turn up for anybody and actually had created a business so that they could go and grieve and mourn and get out of themselves the horror and the sadness that was being experienced. But they worked out they'd created a business, not a practice that relied on them, but they had a business where they had actually created enough infrastructure for them to be able to do that. I have the privilege of having several people in my inner circle who serve the law enforcement community. So they were balancing so much of their own stuff, but then what was being projected onto law enforcement personnel, but then also experiencing, you know, the cultural experience of racism as well, as we've all had to experience it in terms of learning about it, in terms of becoming aware of it, and just that they've been able to do that and turn up, and in some cases stop people from really engaging in horrific self-harm. So I am curious to know what you've been able to do. I am incredibly proud of the fact that, you know, that most of us just got up and kept going, because you know what? We didn't all have to do that. Many of us could have just chosen to sit down and go, no, I'm not participating, or it's all too hard. I know some people have launched courses. I know some people have worked on books. I know some people have built their businesses. Businesses have grown during this time. For me, I have spent this time really embracing what I need from caring for myself, because, you know, I've got cancer challenges I need to deal with now. So I want to make sure that I can get up and keep going. And my whole frame of reference around self-care, I thought I had it nailed, but during this period of time, it has become so ingrained in me that if I don't look after myself first, I'm not going to be able to look after you. I'm not going to be able to look after my husband. I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. And I don't feel like I'm done. So if I don't look after myself, the things that I think I'm supposed to do, I'm going to get done. Well, they probably will by someone else, but I'd like to do them. That's okay. So I think that whole self-care piece for me has taken on a new level and a new layer. And I think that's a really important, and I'm really proud of that, because I am the person who was the martyr. I would work until I was sacrificially giving. I had migraines every Saturday because I wasn't working and my body was going, what, we're stopping? That's hideous. You can read about that in the Entrepreneurial Clinician. I know I was addicted to my work. Now my work serves me, and I get, through my work, get to serve the rest of the world, which I think is really cool. I also challenged myself a little bit this week. I took on a large assessment, which involved about 6 hours of interviewing yesterday, and I didn't know if I could do it. Okay, so there was a little niggle. It was like, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to be good enough? Am I going to be good enough? So I set it up really well. I went to the city the night before, and as we arrived, I discovered I'd forgotten my laptop. That wasn't cool. So I had to get over that. So I decided to stay in the city so I didn't have the physical demands of travel, because the work was in the city. I had someone else make my breakfast, someone else make my dinner, someone else clean up the room. And I was able to do a really good job yesterday, and I felt like I made a really good contribution. And I hope that I have helped an organization understand some of the changes it needs to make culturally, but also understand how just slapping a band-aid on somebody's workplace injury is not always going to be the best, result in the best outcome. I can't go into too much detail because it's too easy for other people to work out what I was doing, but I expect that I have helped people make really good, informed decisions about how to move forward, and that's a very empowering place to be. I've received a couple of thank yous already today. That always makes me feel good. However, I then got on the wrong train to go to the wrong suburb to go visit my son, who then had to go and get in the car, drive and come and pick me up, because I was just like brain dead and fried, and that was brain fog at a whole new level, which I find amusing. So my capacity isn't where it used to be, but I can still do good work, and I'm still proud of the work that I can do, and I feel like I've really challenged myself, because I'm pretty sure that we all go through periods of time where we question our capability, we question our ability. We might have, a complaint made about us, or somebody accuses us of something, and we feel insecure. And then we always question our competence through insecurity. And that's what was going on for me. But yesterday I turned up, I did the work, I've been able to come back and think about what needs to happen next, and it's good. And sometimes I think we need to prove that to ourselves. And I know I do that for my rehab clients a lot. So it was kind of nice being able to do that. And I had a little cheer squad working with me yesterday. Nicola was one of those people. Anthony was certainly one of those people. Thank you, dude. And my friend Sonia. So they all had different roles, and they all helped me in different ways, but I was really appreciative of my little cheer squad. Maybe that's the homework. So the homework, I really want you to get out your book of evidence and write down something that you have done, that you were proud of, that you can reflect on post this period of history, and go, I remember that, and I remember what I was able to do, and who I was able to be, and what I became as a result of that. And then I want you to think about your own personal cheer squad, and I want you to start reflecting on who's in your cheer squad, and maybe thank them. But I think if we can bring those people to our mind, we can start being a little bit more intentional about how we have them in our world. So my voice is getting very close to being done. So I'm going to take myself off of Facebook Live now. I am looking forward to my resting and replenishing weekend. The weather is going to be gorgeous by the looks of things. Not a lot of heat in the sun, even though it looks really sunny. So for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere who are starting to enjoy warmer weather, good on you. Jealous? Much? And I look forward to posting pictures of me being on the beach when you're running around feeling cold. So until next week, go be your awesome self.